Man, that's a big old truck. That is the brand new 2020 Ford F350 single rear wheel trimmer edition. And little did I know that the trimmer edition is not specific to one trim level on these F250s and F350s. It is offered on both the 3/4 ton and the 1 ton trucks. Only offered, I believe, on the single rear wheels though, not on the dually. So this particular F350 is a fully loaded edition, a fully loaded trim package. This is the Platinum. It also has the $10,000 option engine upgrade with the 6.7 Power Stroke turbo diesel over the new to 2020 7.3 liter gasser that makes, I think, 450 horsepower and 475 pound-feet of torque. This engine makes 475 horsepower and 1,000, yes, I said it, 1,050 pound-feet of torque. They took the reins away from Ram and Cummins, who were the initial people that broke the 1,000 pound-foot mark barrier a couple years ago, and they cranked out a little more power out of this 6.7 in-house Ford-built turbo diesel, V8 turbo diesel, and it makes 1,050 pound-feet of torque, and it goes through their 10-speed automatic, which I really enjoy. The 10-speed is it's very smooth, very linear with the power. It can become a little cumbersome around town, like I've been saying with a lot of these 10 speeds that are offered in some of the gas vehicles and the diesels. I like it on the highway. It pulls and it shifts very, very well, especially unloaded. I haven't had a chance to hook a fifth wheel up to this because I don't have a fifth wheel. It's equipped for one. I don't have a fifth wheel for it. So I don't know what it does, how the transmission feels in pulling weight. But unloaded, it feels great around, just accelerating up, but around town and, braking and then going back to accelerating before coming to a complete stop, it kind of bumps around a little bit in those 10 speeds, but it goes down the road really well. The 10 speed is great on the highway, and I've actually gotten pretty decent fuel economy. The best I've gotten was about 20 miles per gallon, like mid 19s to low 20s I've gotten on the highway. Beautiful truck. I love this dark blue. It's very reminiscent of the color that's on my Monte Carlo, if you guys are familiar with that car. It doesn't have quite as much metallic in it, but it is very, very pretty. I am a huge fan of the upgraded front ends on these trucks though too. This front end is kind of the the half-ton trucks to the heavy-duty trucks have always had some kind of differentiation factor with the styling and the grills. Obviously, the F250s and F350s have a different headlight design, if I'm not mistaken, but this grill is very similar to that of the F150, and I like that they kind of carried that over. You can see right here you have a front-facing camera, which is very convenient for in parking lot situations. You got the big Super Duty that's embossed into the grill or into the top, into the hood. These beautiful lines going on the hood right here. Big tow hooks. And I love these accent lights, these LED strips for the fogs right here. And then you have these really cool inside, because there's a bezel that goes around the outside of the turn, like on the outside of the side mirror, that's a turn signal. But inside right here is an LED kind of fog light, spotlight, and I really like that. And since this is an F350, it's got powered mirrors that go in and out, and they also fold in. Back from our brief intermission, but back to the truck. So like I was saying, the trimmer edition is offered from anywhere from the XLT trim all the way up to the Platinum trim. Base price on the XLT start at 53 and some change, all the way up to about 82, 83 and some change for the Platinums. Now the Platinum, well, maybe particularly the F350 Platinum. Now this particular truck I think is topped out at about 85 or $87,000, something around there. They did not give me the Maroni sheet, and I have not built it out online to tell you exactly, but it's somewhere, somewhere right there in the middle of $80,000. Now, the trimmer edition does come with some things that separates it from the other. It's like its own sub-level on top of the other trims that you get from Ford. So you get these Duratrack Goodyear Wranglers. You get a slight lift front and rear. You also get these shocks. Your heart, Icon heart, there you go, right there. You get skid pads underneath the gas tank, and I believe the transfer case. And you also get this cool little sticker that says trimmer right there. And you know how stickers give you extra horsepower. So, does it warrant the $3,600 option? I think so. It definitely gives it a more of an aggressive stance. Now, from my understanding, you do suffer some in towing with the fact that it is a little bit lifted. I believe that you lose a little bit in towing. Now I looked up the tow ratings, and from my memory, this thing is maxed out on a fifth wheel, pulling at about 18,800 pounds. Payload is somewhere in the range of 24 to 2,600 pounds. And bumper pull is, let me check that real quick. After I checked, bumper pull is at 15,000 pounds. So this truck does lack to its competitor, the Chevrolet and GMC AT4s. They do have almost 1,000 pounds more capacity, payload, and a little bit more on bumper pull and fifth wheel. But again, it's one of those things where it's very, very minute. You know, the few hundred pounds here doesn't really make or break things. Where you go and, you know, separate yourself from the competition is obviously looks. I think Ford did a great job on these trucks and looks. I've always loved this piece right here in the middle of the tailgate, platinums. These taillights are incredibly expensive. I've had people I know that have had Fords and these have broken and they've had to replace them, and they're well over $1,000. I mean, it's incredible. You've got your backup camera right there in the tailgate, and you have your soft open. What's cool about this truck is outfitted to have a fifth wheel, so you've already got your plugs right here in the back. You've got this button right here that turns on the LED lighting in the tailgate. You have one right here. You've got one on the other side. Now, the one thing would make more sense if they had would be the ones have closer up to the back of the truck, but you do have the third brake light, which you probably can't see from here, but the outsides of the third brake light marker do light up as well. And you have your plug-ins for your fifth wheel. You got your outlets. You have these really cool tie downs, and you hit the button and turns off the lights right there. You also have a camera up there on the third brake light that is for viewing the inside of the bed as you back up to hook up your fifth wheel. Ford did a lot to think of things to make the convenience of setting up your trailer and hooking up your trailer by yourself way more convenient. You know, in the past, you didn't have backup cameras, so you had to get out and you had to look, or you had to have a spotter. I mean, I couldn't imagine doing it by yourself. It would take forever. Maybe if you gotten used to it. But they thought of everything. So there's a button. I'll show you guys. There's a button inside the cab, underneath the steering column, right here next to the adjustable pedals, which is another nice feature, that lowers the tailgate down. So I'm gonna hit the button, and you can see the tailgate drops. Now it doesn't lift it back up, but it does drop the tailgate. So as you back up to your trailer, you press that button while you're looking in your rear view mirror, and you can see the trailer when you're backing up from the third person brake light, from the third brake light. So just another nice little convenience. Now, of course, you obviously have to get out to attach whatever you're hooking up to your fifth wheel or your trailer or whatever have you. But another cool thing that's been around for a little while on these Fords, and you guys have probably seen it, everybody's come to these convenience to get in and out of their tailgates. Chevy went a little easy on at least the 1500s and just did a little cutout with the foot insert on the sides of the bumper. Ford went the extra mile and developed this crazy tailgate that has a frame built in it for this step. And then you also have a handle. So you step down and it has spring loaded, and you step right up into the bed. I think it's pretty neat. Now, of course, the angle of, see, this truck is lifted, so the angle of which you have to step up to get into this truck is above 90 degrees. Your hip is well above 90 degrees to step up in this. So you know, older folks that have hip issues may have a problem getting in and out of this truck. Younger guys, maybe not so much, but it is a cool feature. How novel it is, you know, beyond me, but kudos to Ford for at least thinking of something different. And then they give you a proper 1-2 step to lower and drop the arm back down, the handle slides back, and then you lift this up, slide it back in, and it clicks. Simple as that. Another thing I forgot to mention, the only way you can get the trimmer package is it has to be outfitted as 4x4, and it can only have the 6 3/4 length bed. With that being said, let's step into the interior of the car, which we briefly were there, and show you guys what you're getting when you get a fully loaded platinum trimmer edition. So you have this burnt orange, red-ish accented interior on the door panels, at least. It's on the right here on the side. You have this, I don't know, laminated, looks like, I don't even know what you would call that material, but it looks pretty neat. You got this really nice padded right here. You have 3 seating position, memory seating positions. You have your power mirrors in and out. You have the power folding. That's me. What's up? And then of course you have your, the bottom part is manual and the top part is powered. You step inside, and like I was mentioning on the side mirrors, these are the buttons to turn on those spotlights, the LED spotlights inside the turn signals on the side mirrors, which is a pretty neat feature. You've got your third brake light, and you've got your, of course, your adjustables for your inside accent lights. You have your knobs for your headlights. You have your power adjustable pedals, which is nice, and obviously your power tailgate drop. Telescoping in and out steering wheel. And then stepping in, of course, you have these platinum seats with this, again, in this burnt orange with this kind of brushed pattern in the middle. And I will not lie, these seats are very, very comfortable. And I didn't know this until halfway in our road trip down here, that they are actually massaging. The seat bottom and seat back massage. And you can adjust the intensity, low or high, based on your preference. My dad found that little feature out, so that was cool. It works pretty good. Keeps you awake. And then stepping inside, you then have your, obviously your electronic shift on the fly, 4-wheel drive. Even though I still suggest you just put the truck in neutral to shift to 4 high or 4 low. Starting the truck up, fires up really quickly. You got your LCD or LED information right here in the middle between your analog gauges. Shows you your fuel economy, shows you all your other gauges for diesel exhaust fluid and temperature and all kinds of tire pressures, digital speedometer, engine hours, all kinds of things. You have your trailer towing statuses, you have your off-road angles, whether or not your fronts are locked or the rear's locked, your approach, and all kinds of stuff. Then you have your settings for sensors and all kinds of whatnot. On this tank, I've averaged about 16.5, which again is not bad. I've been putting around a lot in town here in Tuscaloosa, so that's gonna go down. But on the highway, again, I've been saying it's gotten pretty decent fuel mileage, upwards of 17, close to 19, on almost 20 miles to the gallon for a truck this big is not bad at all. You have, again, with most of these higher up trim level Fords, you have your wireless charging pad with the Type-C, Type-A adapter right here. You've got 2 sets of cup holders, one larger and one smaller. You've got your gains for your trailer brake. You've got a trailer backup feature, which I've never used before. I think this is what they were advertising, so where you can use this pretty much to back the truck up for you. I mean, I've never used it. I don't know how good it is. Again, I didn't have a trailer this weekend to test it, but that's pretty neat. Heated and cooled front seats. Your outlets right here. You got these funky 2-split glove box compartments. You also have a Bang & Olufsen sound system, which is very nice. One thing that I've been taking advantage of is the engine exhaust brake while driving around town and on the highway. Obviously it's used more for when you're pulling something heavy so that you don't ride your brakes, but it helps even in town. You know, you hit your brakes and it kicks up, it kicks down on the gear shifter, so it allows, it kicks down on the transmission to downshift you, and it holds the RPMs higher to obviously allow the engine to slow the truck down instead of riding your brakes the entire time. But you also have lane keep assist. I'm assuming this is a cruise control for off-roading. You have obviously your traction control and hazards, but then you have your cameras like most of the trucks now with the front facing cameras, and you have the above head view, which is really neat. Also, you have your drive modes with this truck. Now, most drive modes are for, you know, like sport modes. So you have normal, you have tow haul, you have eco, you have slippery, deep snow and sand, and then you have rock crawl. So what I was reading, the rock crawl setting allows the diesel option trucks to have a drive ratio of 44:1. Now, differential and transmission ratios and all that kind of stuff, obviously, unless it's 1:1, if I don't know if it's 1:1, it kind of goes over my head. Now, I'm not a big math guy, so if you guys that are into that kind of stuff could explain to me what that means with the 44:1, I'd greatly appreciate it. But I was also reading, and mind you, I don't remember all this stuff, so I'm gonna look at my phone as I'm talking to you guys to tell you exactly what I read about this trimmer edition. So it hasn't, this is for you, all you off-road guys that are wanting to know how capable it is off-road. It has 10.8 inches of ground clearance, which is pretty good. It has a 31.65 degree approach angle, 21.5 breakover, and 24.51 departure angle. Take that for what it's worth, guys, all you off-road guys. Now, when I was talking about how heavy this truck was, the curb weight of this truck is just over 6,000 pounds. I thought it was way more than that, but I was wrong. So there you go. That's the actual curb weight of this truck. One other cool feature that helps getting in and out of this big old truck is the power retracting steps. That is a factory option, and they're pretty quick. You know, I have a Escalade that has the same steps, and mine are not that fast. They go up pretty quick, but within a second. I'm also going to show you guys how packed tight this 6.7 Power Stroke is in this engine bay. Ford did not waste any space in here. Look at this. I mean, there's not a lick of room in this engine bay. Not a lick. Very tidy, very neat. Just very, very, very well packed in there. Very efficient. You have a light. That's something that you don't see too often anymore in engine compartments, is a light. So kudos to Ford for that. For the reasons why you would need a light in your engine bay. I mean, nah, I'm just playing. I'm not gonna go there. Anyways, yeah. So let me fire it up for you guys with the remote start so you can hear what it sounds like on the outside right before the battery dies on this GoPro. Check this out. Sadly, anymore, these diesel trucks do not have much of an exhaust note, especially from the exhaust tips. You hear more of the rattle and clatter from the engine, obviously up by the engine compartment. But anymore these days with the emissions controls and the way these exhausts are set up, you hardly hear anything coming from the exhaust. Now, when you rev it, you hear a little bit of something, but from idle, they're pretty quiet. So I had to go let the GoPro charge. So we're gonna hop back in this truck, and I'm gonna go back down these side roads, or these dirt roads, gravel roads. I'm gonna put the GoPro on the side of the truck. Hopefully it does not fall off, so I can show you guys kind of how the truck reacts to these bumpy roads. And then hopefully the weather doesn't get too dark, you know, or the weather. Hopefully the day doesn't go by too quick and we get some more, so I can do some more in-car driving footage. I'll get it out on the actual road and talk about how it rides and all that kind of stuff. So let's go. All right, guys, so you're right in my face, but we're inside the truck. We are off-road, kind of. It's not extreme or anything like that, but we are off of paved road to kind of give you an in-cab feel, best you can feel from a camera of what it is to ride in this truck off-road. I currently do not have my seatbelt on because we're on private property and I'm not going fast enough. But I'm gonna get out on the road, but I am gonna put it on because I don't want to hear the dinging. So let's put it on. Maybe. There we go. All right. But anyways, this truck is pretty comfortable considering. You know, you're on some bigger tires. It's got the 2-inch lift in the front and the rear. It handles itself pretty well. You know, a lot of people will knock the trucks because of these aluminum bodies. They don't, you know, but considering that they're not steel bodies, which I think a lot of companies, a lot of like the other truck companies do use aluminum more now than in their trucks, especially in the bodies, than steel anymore for weight savings. But I feel like this truck holds itself really well on off-road. Like it doesn't creak a lot, doesn't shake. It is very structurally rigid. So like I was telling you guys, this truck does have the 6.7 liter Power Stroke turbo diesel. I, for one, am a big diesel guy. Nothing wrong with gas trucks, but I feel like if you get into 3/4 ton and 1 ton trucks, it really doesn't matter if you're gonna pull or not. I mean, it makes more sense if you're gonna pull to obviously spend the $10,000 extra upcharge to get the diesel option, at least in the Fords. I'm not sure what the upcharge is in the Rams and the Chevy and the GM trucks. But with this truck, you know, 1,050 foot-pounds of torque sounds pretty nice, you know, and obviously, especially us as Americans, bigger is better, right? That's what they always say. Women don't want to admit it, but I'm sure they think that too. They just try to save our feelings. But anyways, the 1,050 pound-feet of torque is nice. You know, this truck, while it does weigh 6,000 pounds, 4-wheel drive, these big tires and all that kind of stuff, you put your foot to the floor, this thing moves out. And I'm gonna kind of try to give you an impression of it. I'm gonna floor it right here. We're already doing 80 miles an hour. This truck it's quick. It is awfully quick. Now, you know, diesel trucks, the purpose of them is not to be fast, right? Now, we know guys that modify them and can make them fast and still capable of towing and all that stuff. This, you know, and that's never an intended function from the factory. These trucks are fast, but considering now that these manufacturers are cranking these trucks out with more power, it won't be long until you get a 500 horsepower from the factory truck with 1,200 pound-feet of torque. They're just gonna get more and more impressive with their numbers. But this truck makes 475 horsepower, and the 475 horsepower is at 2,600 RPM, and then 1,000 pound-feet of torque at 1,200 RPM, and that's just above idle. 1,200 RPM is very low. And it moves out. Like I said, the 10-speed automatic is very, very smooth. And you hardly feel the shifts. It actually is weird. It skips over gears as you're accelerating hard. When you're in the throttle, it'll jump from first to third, third to fifth, and then when it'll go singularly up past fifth, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. It's when you're going slow in traffic, will it, you know, go one gear at a time. But going down the road manners of this truck are great. You know, even with these bigger tires, these these Goodyear Wrangler Duratrax, it tracks pretty good, considering it's a straight axle truck too. That's the other thing. Ram and Ford are both straight axle trucks, and GM trucks are both, GM, Chevy and GMC trucks are independent front suspension, so they have control arms, you know, upper and lower A arms as opposed to radius arms. And that obviously changes the complete driving dynamic and steering feel in reaction to a straight axle truck. This truck, while it is still new and everything's pretty tight, there is still a little bit of play in the steering, and that's because it's a straight axle truck. You're just gonna have that. You have to be a little cognizant of it while you're driving, because it'll sway a little bit in your lane, but not bad, right? Not terrible. Again, it's a new truck, so you'd expect it to be pretty stable. But yeah, I mean, this truck is very much livable on the road for a road trip, or just even daily driving. We drove from Atlanta, North Georgia, to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, which was about 5 hours in the truck, on the highway, cruising at speeds of anywhere between 70 and 85 miles an hour, depending on where we were, and it felt great. All it's, obviously most of the, all these trucks are, well, not I'll say all. I know that Ford, at least this Ford is a leaf sprung rear end, and it still does feel like a leaf sprung rear end. Don't get me wrong, it's still kind of bouncy, especially when there's no weight in the bed like most trucks, but it's not unbearable, right? I had a 99 Ram, I'm sure I mentioned that already in this video, and it was like, you go over, and granted it was a long bed, but it was like going over, riding a bucking Bronco. I mean, the thing would bounce like crazy. You hit a bump and the rear end is just jumping all around, and you felt it. This truck is a lot more refined in that aspect, but of course it's a 21-year-old newer truck, and that's something that you'd expect that would be addressed over time, is the ride quality from these leaf spring trucks. And these seats are super, like I mentioned before, these seats are super comfortable on a long ride. I mean, I never felt any fatigue from the seats. My behind didn't hurt, my legs didn't hurt, and it was just fine. Definitely capable of long trips without constantly having to get up and stretch and all that stuff. Now, just for the sake of research, this is research purposes, so I'm not incriminating myself, but this truck does appear to be governed speed wise to about 95, 96ish mile an hour. It's just something for you guys to know if you plan on winding the thing out on the highway, just so you don't be surprised when you get to about 95, 96 miles an hour and the truck seems to want to kind of quit. That's apparently what the electronic governor, but again, there's probably a reason why the manufacturer has limited the truck to 95, 96 mile an hour. This truck is not a race truck. It is meant to pull, so who knows, maybe the drive shaft is only good to 105 miles an hour and they don't want you coming close to that, so you heat the drive shaft out of the bottom of this truck. Friction and physics are a thing, and they come into play when you are rotating something that's not supposed to rotate at a certain speed. So it does govern itself at 97 miles an hour. But with these new trucks, you get up to temperature so much quicker. Daily driving them doesn't seem like as much of a burden, even if you're not working them hard, if that makes sense. You could certainly daily drive this truck and not always have a trailer attached to it, or heavy weight. Plenty of room for your family, plenty of storage. Do I approve of this truck? Yes. I do like Fords. I think there's a bad rap on Fords. Everybody always says, oh, Ford trucks suck, Ford trucks suck. Yeah, they had some down years that weren't the best. The 6.0 wasn't the best engine. They made some, there's some aftermarket fixes that address the 6.0's problems. Same thing with the 6.4s. Everything has a downside, but at the end of the day, if you're buying this truck brand new and you're under warranty and you don't tamper with the warranty, anything that can tamper the warranty, you're not going to have any. I don't feel like you're buying a bad vehicle. Now, the one thing that I will mention that is something to consider when you're buying this truck, again, depends on what you want the truck for. If you want the truck for, if you don't care so much about you know, interior quality and materials and all that stuff, if you're not looking to get a platinum, if you're looking for a middle of the road, you know, F-Series truck with the 6.7 power stroke, this may not concern you. But if you're looking for something, if you're buying one and you know you're buying a platinum, or you're buying a King Ranch, or any one of the higher end trims like a Lariat or whatever that's going to have leather and some nice other interior parts, the thing that bothers me about this interior is, while the seats are very nice and there's a bit of leather here and there is way too much hard plastic. There's not enough soft touch materials in this interior to justify the cost comparative to its competitors. You know, in particular the Rams. I personally think that the Ram trucks, 1500s to 3500s, are dominating the interior quality game in the heavy duty and half-ton truck market. It's hard for me to justify $86,000 for this truck when I'm sure you could buy a Ram in similar form, similar price range, and have so much nicer of an interior. Again, take that with a grain of salt, because if you're a diehard Ford guy, you don't care about it. You're gonna buy a Ford. If you don't care about interior quality as much, and you don't care about all the fancy stuff, you just want a truck and you want, you know, something that has the most torque available in the class, then you'll overlook that. But people that are spending top dollar for the top of the line trims, and interior is a big deal for you, you may not like how much, maybe like me, and may not like how much plastic is in this interior, hard plastic. I just think that that's something that can be addressed in the later years for the Fords. Now, who knows? Maybe the 2021 Ford F-150 addresses that. I have not seen one in person to give you a fair assessment. I'm just giving you what I know off of this truck. But to that extent, it's a great truck. Plenty of power. It looks really good. Plenty of room. All the things that you would, you know, look for in a truck. The trimmer package is a really cool sub trim package that goes across many of the main trim options, XLT to Platinum. I think it's a really cool, you know, thing that's worth the money. It's only $3,600 option that gives you a lot of stuff if you plan on off-road, and gives you the, you know, the rock guards, the skid plates, the 2-inch lift in the front and rear, the 35-inch Goodyear tires, a little cool trimmer sticker. So if you're a Ford guy and, you know, that's the kind of stuff you're into, this might be the truck for you. But again, just giving you guys my opinion. So with that being said, I told you guys I was gonna try to accommodate you and give you some in-car driving footage. I hope this was good enough. I did not change. That's another thing this car has. It has pre-collision warning. That's something that a lot of new trucks haven't had in a long time. It does have adaptive cruise control as well, which is a beautiful thing. I love adaptive cruise control when I'm on long road trips. It takes a little bit of not that you shouldn't be paying attention while you're driving, but it also gives you a little peace of mind that the truck is noticing cars in front of you as well, and will slow down accordingly and then speed up accordingly as well. I love that feature. So I hope this in-car driving footage was suitable and adequate to you guys. I didn't change the camera angles much. Maybe in the future I will try it. This is a very big dashboard, and I didn't want to be too far away from the camera. That's why I put it right here. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. I plan to have more vehicles in the near future, and I hope you guys will like, comment, and subscribe on this video, from this video. Share it with somebody that also may be looking at getting an F-Series truck. And until next time, guys, thank you. Appreciate it.